Welcome to the Council on Occupational Education's Professional Learning video series. In this video, we will be discussing your institution's accreditation file and the use of the accreditation seal. Over the past 30 years, I've had an opportunity to serve both as the Chief Administrative Officer and the COE Liaison Officer for my institution. And one of my responsibilities was to check our publications and our websites for compliance and to maintain the accreditation file. This video will assist you in learning how to maintain your file and to make sure that you are in compliance with the conditions of accreditation. The training is intended for all institutions and will provide you with an understanding of the purpose of accreditation file, documents that should be included in the accreditation file, and how you can organize your file. We'll be looking at how to use the accreditation seal and the information that is required when referring to your status with the Commission in any publication. So let's get started. You may ask, why do I need to keep an accreditation file? And what is its purpose? Your permanent accreditation file is your institution's official record of all accreditation activity with COE. Every institution, whether you're public, non-public, federal, Job Corps, or apprenticeship, must maintain a permanent accreditation file. The maintenance of this file is one of the administrative obligations outlined in the Handbook of Accreditation that must be met by any institution who is accredited by the Commission. This file should reside with the institution and is not assigned to any one individual at the institution. Remember, personnel and leadership on your campus change. However, this file should be maintained as an institutional file, not as a personal file for any one employee. As an institution, you want to ensure that if the person responsible for keeping the file leaves the institution, that someone else on your campus still has access to all of the documents in the accreditation file. A best practice for your institution would be to have the permanent accreditation file on a shared drive that is backed up regularly and is accessible at a minimum to both the Chief Administrative Officer and your COE liaison officer at your institution. Now let's take a look at what documents the accreditation file must contain and how an institution can organize these documents. The Handbook of Accreditation lists 6 types of documents that must be maintained in chronological order in your file. An institution must provide the accreditation file and these documents to show compliance with the criterion number 6 on the conditions check sheet. Remember, your team leader will check your accreditation file during their preliminary visit, so it's very important that this file be continuously updated with the required documents to remain in compliance. The first set of documents that you will want to keep in your accreditation file will be any substantive correspondences between your institution and the Commission. These correspondences generally come to both the Chief Administrative Officer and the COE Liaison Officer at your institution. You will want to save a copy of the email containing the correspondence and save it to your correspondence file. The types of correspondences that you will include in this folder will be emails related to accreditation and reaffirmation of accreditation. You will also want to include any emails regarding substantive changes and other official actions of the Commission. If you send any official correspondence to the Council staff regarding your institution or your institution's status with the Commission, then you would want to save these emails in the correspondence folder as well. An example might be that if your chief administrator of the institution were to change and you send an official email notifying the Commission of the change, then you would save this email to your correspondence folder. A good practice would be to keep all communications or emails that your institution receives or sends to the COE staff. Remember, the purpose of the accreditation file is to provide your institution with a record of your accreditation activities with COE. The next document that you will want to keep in your accreditation file will be a copy of your last self-study report. This will be the official PDF file that you sent to the COE staff before your team visit. Now, I know that when we were writing our self-study report, we had many draft copies and several, final copies of our self-study report. Just be sure that you include the final official self-study report file that was submitted to the Commission for review in your folder. The next document that you will include in your accreditation file will be the official team report of your last visit. You will receive this report from the COE staff after your visit, along with an official correspondence. This file will contain the report that will be presented to the Commission for their review. So be sure to keep a copy of the PDF file of your team report in your accreditation file. Also, if you have any other team visits during your accreditation cycle, such as a change of location visit, or if you have a visit for a new campus, these team reports will also be included in your accreditation file. In addition to the team reports, you will also want to include your institutional responses to the team reports that you receive. These responses may be a single email acknowledging and accepting the team report, or it could be an email with a PDF that contains documentation with your responses to the findings of noncompliance. Again, be sure to save all institutional responses to any team report that you submit to the Commission. You will also want to include a copy of all substantive change applications since your last accreditation visit. An example of a substantive change application might be a change of ownership or control. Another example could be when an institution adds a branch, an extension, an instructional service center, or an extended classroom. You may refer to the Handbook of Accreditation for a list of the substantive changes that you could make. The last set of documents required in your accreditation file is a copy of your COE annual reports and annual audited financial information if your institution is required to submit financial data. When you submit your annual report each year, you will want to save a copy of the official report. Remember that your official annual report is more than just your CPL worksheet. Save your entire report, including the confirmation of submission page. In addition to the report, you also want to include any supporting documentation for the report. I would encourage you to keep a list of the students included on your CPL report that backs up the numbers on your report. If you were to have an unannounced visit, this documentation would be very useful to you and your team in documenting the accuracy of the data on the CPL report. And again, if your institution is required to submit audited financial information each year, you will also keep these documents in the accreditation file. The annual reports and the financial information should be kept for each year in your accreditation cycle. So if you have a 6-year cycle, then you will have 6 annual reports and financial information in your folder. I know this sounds like a lot of documents to keep in this file. However, if you keep the file up to date each time you receive a correspondence, or you submit an application, receive a team report, or submit your annual report, then it will be a very doable task. To help you maintain your file, let's take a look at how you can organize your file. Let me start by saying that this is only an example of how you can organize your accreditation file. You may have another idea of how to create your folder structure, which is perfectly all right. Just be sure that the folder contains all of the required documents in chronological order that we have discussed. In the example of the slide, you would create a folder named Accreditation File with the years of your accreditation cycle. Now, I encourage you to include the years in the file name because with each accreditation cycle, you will want to create a new folder to keep your documents organized. So if someone wanted to refer back to an accreditation activity that was in a previous cycle, then you could locate the file easier if the dates were included in the folder name. Remember, this file is going to remain with your institution for years to come, and institutional personnel in the future may want to refer back to the documents in these folders. So having the years in the folder name could be very helpful in locating documents. Next, you would create 6 subfolders in your accreditation folder. These 6 folders could represent the 6 categories of documents required to be in the accreditation file as outlined in the Handbook of Accreditation and as we have discussed. These categories are annual reports and financial reports, institutional reports and responses, self-study reports, substantive change applications, substantive correspondences, and visiting team reports. Then, within each subfolder, you would save your documents. I would encourage you to save the documents as PDF files and to name the files so the team will know what the documents include. Remember that you want to make this structure and the file names easy for the team to see your compliance and easy for you or someone at your institution to find the documents if they needed to do so. The accreditation file is required for all institutions, and failure to maintain the file with the required documents could call into question the administrative capabilities of your institution. Another administrative obligation of all institutions is to accurately report your status as an institution with the Commission in your publications and on your website, including the use of the accreditation seal. Documentation is required to show compliance with the use of the accreditation seal as outlined in the Handbook of Accreditation on page 27 and is reflected on the conditions check sheet criterion number 16. Remember, your team leader will check to see if your institution has used the accreditation seal correctly as part of the evaluation process. Also, as part of your annual COE report each year, you will confirm your compliance with the condition criteria, which includes the use of the accreditation seal. The Handbook of Accreditation contains very specific guidance on the use of the accreditation seal. Only accredited institutions may use the official seal. As an institution, you may not use the seal until you have been granted accreditation by the Commission. The seal should always be used with discretion and should not be used for advertising purposes, but rather to identify your institution as being a member of a nationally recognized accrediting agency. The Handbook of Accreditation also states that an institution may only use the seal on the following documents: letterheads, catalogs, certificates, diplomas, transcripts, and websites. Remember, the seal should not be used on recruiting documents. Rather, it should be used for your institution to reflect its status with the Commission as an accredited institution. For example, if you have a flyer that you are using to recruit students, you should not use the accreditation seal as a recruiting tool on the flyer. If you use the seal on your website, be sure that the seal is linked to the Council's website. If you click on the seal on your website, you should be redirected to the Council's website. Now, I encourage you to take a close look at all of your publications to see how you have used the accreditation seal and to make sure it meets the guidelines outlined in the Handbook of Accreditation. In addition to the seal, many institutions will also refer to their status with the Commission on different publications, and you should always represent your institution's status accurately. If you make any reference to the status of your institution with the Commission in catalogs, brochures, advertisements, websites, or news releases, you must include the name and contact information of the Commission as shown on this slide. If you are a candidate or an accredited institution and you make reference to your status with the Council on Occupational Education, you must use one of the two following statements: the name of your institution, and then is a candidate for accreditation by the Commission of the Council on Occupational Education. Or if you are an accredited institution, then you would put your name is accredited by the Commission of the Council on Occupational Education. This language may be found in the Handbook of Accreditation on page 27. As with the seal, the Handbook of Accreditation is very specific about the wording an institution must use when referring to its status with the Commission. Again, I'm going to encourage you to look very closely at all of your documents and at your website brochures and look to see where you have referenced the Council on Occupational Education, and make sure that the wording that you are using on your publications matches the language exactly as outlined in the Handbook of Accreditation. Whether you are maintaining your accreditation file or publicizing your status with the Commission, always refer to the Handbook of Accreditation to ensure that you are in compliance with the administrative obligations outlined by the Commission for all institutions. I would like to thank you for joining us today, and we hope that your institution has a better understanding of how to maintain your accreditation file and how to use the accreditation seal. Check back soon for some more training videos that will assist you and your institution in staying in compliance with the standards and conditions. Thank you.